Today I fucked up by living in a dark bedroom for 6 years. The overhead fan in our bedroom uses one of those compact halogen light bulbs. 6 years ago the bulb burned out and got really dim, just barely aglow. I bought a replacement bulb, but when I put that one in it was also barely lighting up, so I realized the unit was bad. The fan still worked great. It literally is the best fan I've ever had because it moves a ton of air and is super quiet. The fan had also been a gift when we moved into our house. The unit cost over $400, so I didn't really want to replace it, even though our bedroom doesn't get much natural light, so it is pretty dark. So since then over the years my wife and I have had to make do with no overhead light. We open the windows during the day, and at night, use a combination of bedside lamps and the bathroom light. It's never really as good of lighting as an overhead lamp, so I keep some flashlights up there for when we are cleaning or looking for something, etc. After 6 years of living in the dark, this winter I just decided I would replace the damn thing. But before I did, I decided to try one last time with another bulb because, however unlikely, it's possible both bulbs I had tried were bad. So I'm up there installing the new bulb, grab the remote, the fan has a remote, and as I'm turning the light on I realize the goddamn thing is dimmable. For 6 fucking years we lived with the inconvenience of no overhead light and the whole time it was just because the damn thing was set to dim. Fuck me. I sat at my dining room table under a very dim fan light that I could have sworn used to be brighter a year ago reading your post. I got up and hunted down the fan remote stuck forgotten in a drawer and replaced the batteries. There was not obvious slider for a dimmer, but I just held the light button down and what do you know, the light got a lot brighter. It is fair to say that your post has brightened my life. Thanks. Today I fucked up by thinking a woman was a boy and groping her boob. Kind of NSFW, though it happened at work. Obligatory. This actually happened a little over a year ago and throw away because I don't want people on my main account to know what I do for a living. So, I work for that app and have for a few years now. It's a good job overall. I'm underpaid, but the benefits are nice, and I get overtime when I want it. A little over a year ago, during the week leading up to Christmas, we had some really bad weather that delayed all the flights. I volunteered to stay late so that my coworkers could go home to their families. Most of the work was done anyway, so it was mostly just standing around waiting for the odd latecomer. I was working the space tube thingy, when 3 passengers came up together, a middle-aged man, a middle-aged woman, and a teenage boy. I figure it's a family traveling together for the holidays, and go about my work. Mom goes through, all is fine. Dad goes through, all is fine. Kid comes up, I get a good look at him. Hoodie, sweatpants, shortish hair, smooth face. I figure he's about 13, maybe 14. I hit the button, direct him to wait with me for a moment, and then gesture to the screen, which lit up on his chest area. I tell him that I have to pat that area down. He's a little nervous. I figure that, because he's so young, this is probably his first time getting a pat down, but he says okay, and I start the pat down. I do the left side of the chest, and feel some moob, which catches me off guard, because he didn't look chubby at all. I move to the right side of the chest, read what's on the hoodie, and it all clicks at once. The hoodie has the name of the local college on it. This is an adult, not a child. He's not wearing sweatpants. *SHE* is wearing yoga pants. She doesn't even know the couple that just came through. I look at her face, which is bright red. My hand is still on her boob, and I pull it back like I just got bit by a snake. I immediately call for my supervisor, who comes over and asks what's wrong, and I explain the situation to her. My supervisor covers her mouth, and at first I thought she was absolutely mortified, but then I realized she's trying not to laugh. She takes a minute to pull herself together, tells me to go take a break, and finishes screening the passenger herself. Once that was done, I apologize to the passenger. She tells me it's fine, that it wasn't the first time she was mistaken for a boy, and she probably should have said something before I started touching her. I leave her alone and go talk to my supervisor to figure out exactly how fired I am. She tells me to calm down, that it was just an honest mistake, and that she has my back if the passenger files an official complaint, but that probably won't happen, and I shouldn't be worried. That reassured me a little, but I still groped a woman and ruined Christmas, so I feel like an absolute monster. I swallow my shame and finish my shift. Then I go into the airport proper to find some food, because I just finished a 12-hour shift, and there's no way I have the energy to cook dinner. I saw my hapless victim sitting at her gate, waiting for her flight. I went up to her to apologize again, and saw that the flight had been delayed until morning. It was about 11 at night. I apologize again. She says it's fine, and I ask her if she's planning to stay the whole night. She says she has to, or the hotels in the area are booked. I tell her that I'm getting some dinner and offer to get her some food as well. After all, I already got to second base. I think it's only fair that I buy her dinner. She agrees, and we go to one of the restaurants that is open late, get some food, and start eating. She said she gets mistaken for a boy a lot, and it's not a big deal. I told her about how I had long hair and no beard in college, and at the gym people would frequently walk into the men's bathroom, see me, and do a double take to make sure they didn't walk into the ladies' room. She laughed, and we ended up talking for a few hours, before I finally told her that I had to get home, and apologized again for the accidental molestation. She said that all is forgiven if I promise to take her on a real date when she gets back. I agreed. She gave me her phone number, and I went home and immediately started texting her. We kept talking until her flight finally left, and when she got back I picked her up at the airport, and a few days later took her on that date that I promised her. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. She has long hair now. Thought an adult woman was a teenage boy. Touched her on the boob. Everything worked out better than expected. What anime is this? Weirdly wholesome content. Mill's neglect killed my child. Now she thinks I'll let her around my second child. Sorry this is so long. My Mill was guilty in the death of her grandchild, my daughter. She was 2 years old at the time, and my husband and me, we let Mill babysit her while we were busy with job related things. It was summertime, and they were staying in Mill's house that has a pond next to it. My daughter loved water. Bath time was her favorite time of day. They were playing at the edge of the pond, and then Mill remembered she had to take clothes out of the dryer, and she left a 2-year-old alone next to the quite large body of water. My daughter's childlike curiosity plus her love for water resulted in her getting into the deep part of the pond and drowning. All because Mill considered clothes in the dryer an important enough reason to leave a toddler unsupervised. Then she realized what has happened. She started to panic and call for help. Her neighbor heard her. They got into the pond and called an ambulance, but it was too late. Imagine what it's like for a parent to come to the person you trusted your child with, and they tell you your child is dead. And Mill was begging us not to involve police into this. She kept repeating it was an accident, and she doesn't know how it could have happened, was only gone for a moment, feels even worse than we do, and calling the police won't bring her back. We did call the police, of course, and she was charged with criminal negligence and sentenced to 3 years in prison, which, in my opinion, was too light of a punishment. Now recently Mill was released from prison, and my husband was the first person she looked for contact with. He never once visited Mill while she was imprisoned. Unintentionally, but she did cause the death of our child by neglecting her duties as a babysitter. Doesn't matter that she served her sentence. Neither I or my husband will ever forgive her for this. Neither has she asked for forgiveness. All she gave us were excuses and more excuses. In the courtroom, my husband told her she's not his mother anymore, that she's dead to him, and that he never wants to see her face again. Our marriage was damaged too. We were depressed. We fought a lot. There were times when we were on the brink of divorce. We separated for a while. I left for another country thinking that this is it for us. However, my husband came to look for me, and we managed to save our family and continue a life together. I couldn't bring myself to have any more children for a long time, but eventually I got pregnant again, and last summer we welcomed our son. He's 9 months old now. Obviously, we weren't going to tell Mill we are parents again, but she saw us walking with a baby stroller and realized that once more she has a grandchild. So she tried to get into contact with my husband. First, she reproached him for not visiting her, cried about how hard it was for her to spend all those years behind bars, that she shouldn't have been in the prison because she's too old for that. How could he do this to his own mother? How could he abandon her? Then she was like, "But I saw you have a new baby. I'm so glad I have a grandchild again." And then she went on about, is it a boy or a girl? When will she be able to see them and meet them? Because she wants to take care of them so much. My husband told her immediately that she doesn't have anything. This is our child, ours only. Our son doesn't have a grandmother. We'll be telling him this as he grows up. And he will never ever in a million years be anywhere around her. We're 100% on the same page about this. The loss of our daughter still hurts, and we are going to do the impossible to protect our son from her. He doesn't need an irresponsible grandmother who would likely endanger his life, just like she did with his sister. Mill was shocked to hear this and began to wail about us being so evil and cruel towards her that we are going to hold that against her forever, even though she paid for it, and we cannot be so heartless to prevent her from seeing her grandchild. But what was she thinking? What was she hoping for? That we are really going to let her around our baby? That we'll ever trust her with babysitting again? Honestly, I'm not sure if I can leave my son with any babysitter. I don't trust babysitters anymore, because if a grandmother can be careless enough to let her child die, who knows what could an unrelated person do? So my husband told her firmly that she'll have no access to the baby, and he doesn't want to talk to her either. So now that she's out of the prison, she should do something useful with her life and leave us alone. Mill wasn't having it. That evening she came to our house, asking to see her grandchild again. We didn't let her come in, obviously, and Mill got mad, claiming that as a grandmother, she has rights to meet her grandchild. We told her that she lost all her rights to our children when she let our daughter drown. If the trust is broken, it cannot be repaired, and there are some things that just cannot be forgiven. Mill then told us that she'll go to court and she'll demand legal permission to meet the baby. I'm not sure if there is such a thing, but if it's true, I highly doubt she'll get it considering her criminal record. If we need to go to court and prove she's not the type of grandmother you should let around your child, we'll do it. If she comes back again, we'll call the police. If we need to leave this country and go live somewhere else just to be away from her, we'll do it too. Nothing's impossible. I'm amazed at the shamelessness of hers. She knows very well she tore apart our lives 3 years ago. No parent should bury their child, but we had to because of her, and now she comes to us as if she's the best relative ever, as if nothing ever happened.